Good morning, my standard 10 students. Now I am going to explain one more topic in physics from chapter 4. This is triangular prism. This is incidence ray. This is normal. Angle of incidence is take I1. Then medium is changed. So the ray is refracted towards the normal. Here also this is from glass to air. So the emergent ray away from the normal. You can see this ray, refracted ray, bends towards the normal, but when it comes from glass to air, it bends, this is normal for this part, away from the normal. So angle of incidence I1, angle of emergent I2. Here the ray is refracted in the first phase. The angle of refraction R1. This is for R2, angle of refraction for the glass, and I2, angle of emergent. Either you write I2 or denote it by E. E means emergence. The first phase, the ray deviated from delta 1 angle, and the second phase, later the ray deviated from delta 2. And when there is no other medium, the ray will pass straight this way and the emergent ray this way. Then this angle is known as the angle of deviations. Right? So this is angle of deviations. Now proof is there, that is not in the syllabus, it is not coming in the examination also. So deviation of the prism, that is equal to I1 plus I2 minus A. What is A? Angle of the prism. Right? So angle of the prism A. So or we can write I1 plus I2 is equal to A plus delta. This is known as delta. Delta means deviations. So once again, this is angle of incidence I1. This is angle of refraction for this phase, and this is R2, angle of refraction for the second phase, and I2 is the angle of emergence. And when we produce the incidence ray and emergent ray, then where it intersects, the angle is made. This angle is delta, known as deviation. So when a ray entered from air to glass and emerged out in air, then the ray deviated, overall deviation of the ray, that is denoted by delta. And delta is I1 plus I2 is equal to A plus delta. This is deviation. A is the angle of prism. So deviation, now the factors. Deviation depends, the factors of the deviation depends on the four factors. First, angle of incidence. Now this graph is very important. When angle of incidence increases, first deviation decrease. Right? At certain angle, it becomes minimum. When angle of incidence increase, see, you can see the graph, the deviation decrease. At certain angle, it becomes minimum, delta minimum. After that, when the angle of incidence increase, deviation also increases. So on x-axis, I have taken the I, angle of incidence, and y-axis, the deviation. So this is known as I delta graph. Right? I delta graph. So first factor of the deviation depends on the angle of incidence. Once again, how it depends? Initially, when the angle of incidence increase, the deviation decrease. At certain angle, the deviation become minimum. After that, when angle of incidence increase, deviation also increases. Now, at what angle it happened? So it happened. Remember, this is very, very important point. Several questions coming from this point in the board examination. Incidence ray, normal, refracted ray, and emergent ray. This angle 48 degree I1, and this angle also 48 degree I2, and this angle of deviation delta. So what happened in minimum deviation case? Minimum deviation occur at angle of 45 degree. And what happened in this case? Angle of incidence will be equal to the angle of emergent. Means both will be 48. And the refracted ray exactly parallel to the base of the prism. So this what happened once again, in minimum deviation case, angle of incidence is 48 degree, angle of emergence is also 48 degree, and in this case the refracted ray become exactly parallel to the base of the prism. Otherwise, other than the 48 degree, it is not parallel always. Wait, this angle, this is the refractions. This happens. It's parallel. The refracted ray parallel only when the angle of incidence is 48 degree. This is known as the minimum deviation case, and this was related to. So there is minimum deviation, and what angle? It will be on 48 degree. So this is the first case, that deviation depends upon the angle of incidence. Second case, material of the prism. Second factor, material of the prism. How it depends? The higher the refractive index, means mu. Mu is more, the deviation is also more. Or greater the refractive index, greater the deviation produced by the prism. Then third factor, angle of the prism, A. How it depends upon deviation? Depends upon the angle of the prism. More the angle of prism, more is the deviations. It clear? More the angle of the prism, value of A, more is the deviation. And last factor, color or wavelength of the light. You know that the refractive index of violet is more than the red, and the deviation depend upon the refractive index. So higher the refractive index, more is the deviation, and less the refractive index, less is the deviation. So for the violet ray, the deviation will be more, and for the red ray, deviation will be less. These are the four factors, and these are the topic which is very important. Several questions coming from this part of the topic in physics. Thank you.